When the name Greenland appears in international news, what usually comes to mind is the vast expanse of ice, the cold landscape, and the very small population. However, in recent years, Greenland has become a very hot topic. One of the reasons is the shocking statement from Donald Trump, who openly hinted at his intention to take over the island from Denmark. Trump stated that Greenland is a strategically attractive and important place for the United States. This made many parties surprised and questioned the motives behind the statement. Not only that, Trump even mentioned that import tariffs against Denmark would be used if the country did not agree to hand over control of Greenland. At the same time, a survey shows that some Greenland residents themselves are attracted to the idea of becoming part of the United States. From a geopolitical perspective, Greenland is a gold mine that has not been fully explored. Literally, Greenland has wealth in the form of rare earth minerals, oil, and natural gas. Geographically, its strategic location in the Arctic region makes it a coveted prize in the competition between major countries like the United States, Russia, and China. However, more than just a game of global power, Greenland is also a symbol of the future of climate change that is melting the ice sheets, opening up new economic opportunities and at the same time posing significant challenges in maintaining environmental sustainability. With all its potential, Greenland is not just a disputed territory but also a crucial point in the geopolitics of the region. To understand the appeal of Greenland, we need to start from the roots and then find out what makes it so attractive. The island is one of the most unique places on Earth, with an area of 2.2 million square kilometers, which is equivalent to 6 times the size of Germany. Greenland is the largest island in the world. Despite its massive size, the population is very small, with only around 56,000 people living there, making Greenland one of the regions with the lowest population density in the world. Most of Greenland's population is of Inuit descent, who have lived in this cold region for thousands of years. About 80% of Greenland's territory is covered by thick ice sheets, so most of the population lives on the warmer western and southern coasts. The capital city, Nuuk, is home to more than a third of the population and, despite its small size, is the center of government, culture, and economy in the island. Historically, Greenland was a Danish colony that has been under Danish control for centuries. However, the relationship between Greenland and Denmark has undergone significant changes since 1979, when Denmark granted autonomy to Greenland, allowing the island to manage most of its internal affairs. 10 years later, the Self-Government Act was passed, giving Greenland greater control over its natural resources and domestic policies. Nevertheless, Denmark remains responsible for Greenland's foreign affairs and defense. This relationship creates a unique situation, where Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark but has its own government that manages most domestic aspects. As a result, Greenland's desire for full independence from Denmark continues to grow, especially since its abundant natural resources are seen as a key to achieving economic self-sufficiency. In 2008, a referendum showed that 75% of Greenland's population supported increased autonomy from Denmark, marking a significant step towards potential independence. One of Greenland's biggest attractions is its natural wealth. The island has deposits of gold, silver, copper, uranium, and rare earth minerals that are crucial components in modern technology, such as smartphones, batteries, and electric vehicles. Additionally, Greenland is believed to have significant oil and gas reserves in its surrounding waters. However, exploiting these resources is not easy. The thick ice sheets and extreme environmental conditions make exploration and mining a significant challenge. Furthermore, there is international pressure to ensure that economic activities in Greenland do not damage the fragile environment, creating a dilemma between economic potential and the need to preserve the ecosystem. Climate change is having a significant impact on Greenland's future. Global warming is causing the ice sheets to melt at an alarming rate. On the one hand, this opens up new opportunities for resource exploration and sea trade routes that were previously closed by ice. On the other hand, The melting of ice causes sea level rise that threatens coastal countries around the world. Greenland is at a crossroads. Should they take advantage of economic opportunities from climate change or lead global efforts to maintain environmental balance? In addition to its wealth, when talking about Greenland, its unique location on the world map makes it one of the most strategically geopolitical regions. Located between North America and Europe, Greenland becomes an important route connecting these continents. However, Greenland's strategic appeal is not only based on its position but also on its role in the increasingly relevant Arctic region in modern geopolitics. One of the main reasons why the United States is so interested in Greenland is because of its value as a defense asset. Since World War II, Greenland has been an important part of America's military strategy. Thule Air Base, located at the northwest tip of Greenland, is one of the United States' main military installations in the Arctic region. This base plays a key role in the U.S. ballistic missile early warning system, especially since the shortest route from Europe to North America passes through Greenland. In addition, the melting of ice in the Arctic region due to global warming has opened up new sea routes that were previously closed. These routes not only shorten global trade routes but also potentially become strategic corridors for military ships. Thus, with control over Greenland, the United States would gain greater access to monitor activities in the region, especially those involving Russia and China. The Arctic region has become an arena of competition between major countries in recent decades. With the melting of Arctic ice, this region is no longer a remote and inaccessible area. Instead, it has become a highly important region economically and strategically. Greenland, with its prominent location in the Arctic, becomes the gateway to this region. That's why the United States, Russia, and other countries are racing to strengthen their presence in the Arctic region. Russia, for example, has built new military bases in the region, while China has claimed itself as a near-Arctic state and increased investment in Greenland through economic cooperation. Thus, Greenland becomes the focal point of increasingly intense global competition. When Donald Trump revealed his desire to seize or buy Greenland, many considered it a joke or mere political rhetoric. However, if examined more deeply, this discourse reflects the geopolitical and economic ambitions of the United States in the Arctic region. It is clear that the abundant natural resources in Greenland are one of the main reasons why the United States is interested in this region. As mentioned earlier, the island has large reserves of rare earth metals that are crucial for modern technology. These metals are used in the production of electric vehicle batteries, smartphones, wind turbines, and military technology such as radar and fighter jets. Amidst the increasing global demand for rare earth metals, control over Greenland would give the United States a significant advantage in the global technology competition. In addition to rare earth metals, Greenland also has significant potential in terms of oil and gas reserves. Although oil exploration in this region is still in its early stages, this potential is very attractive to the United States, especially in the midst of efforts to reduce dependence on oil from the Middle East region. Moreover, from a national security perspective, Greenland plays an important role in the United States defense strategy. Thule Air Base is not only a center for early warning systems but also a key point in the United States' efforts to monitor Russian activity in the Arctic region. In recent years, Russia has strengthened its presence in the Arctic by building new bases and operating nuclear submarines in the region. Thus, with control over Greenland, the United States would have a strategic advantage in facing potential threats from Russia. Competition in the Arctic region cannot be separated from the global dynamics between the United States, Russia, and China. Russia, with its vast territory in the Arctic region, has utilized the melting of ice to open up new sea routes and explore natural resources. Russia also claims that much of the Arctic seabed is part of their continental shelf, which gives them exclusive rights to exploit resources in the region. Russia has long been a dominant power in the Arctic region, with a vast Arctic territory. Russia has over 50% of the Arctic coastline and vast reserves of natural resources in the region. In recent years, Russia has taken significant steps to strengthen its presence in the Arctic region. They have built new military bases, modernized their icebreaker fleet, and strengthened their influence in the increasingly open Northern Sea route due to ice melting. Russia's presence in the Arctic region is not only economic but also military, with nuclear submarines and regular military exercises. Russia has shown that it is ready to defend its claims in the region. In addition, Russia is also seeking to expand its Arctic continental shelf through claims to the UN, which if approved would give it exclusive rights to exploit natural resources in the region. Meanwhile, China, although it does not have territory in the Arctic region, has successfully increased its influence through economic investment and cooperation with countries like Greenland and Iceland. By calling itself a near-Arctic state, China is seeking to strengthen its position in the geopolitical game in the region. In 2018, China released a policy to develop infrastructure in the Arctic region and strengthen economic cooperation with countries in the region, including Greenland. In Greenland, China has been involved in various projects, such as investment in the mineral mining sector and infrastructure development of ports. Apparently, Beijing is very interested in Greenland's rare earth reserves, which play an important role in high-tech industries. For China, control over these resources is crucial to maintaining its dominance in the global technology sector. However, China's involvement in Greenland has not always been smooth. Some projects proposed by Chinese companies have faced rejection, both from Denmark and the United States. One example is the plan to build a new airport in Greenland funded by China, which was eventually rejected due to concerns about Beijing's geopolitical influence in the region. In this context, it is clear that control over Greenland is very important for the United States. By having greater influence in Greenland, the United States can counterbalance the influence of Russia and China in the Arctic region and ensure that its interests in the region are protected. In the struggle for influence in Greenland, the three major powers, namely the United States, Russia, and China, have different agendas but still intersect. The United States focuses on national security and maintaining military conditions in the Arctic region. Russia wants to expand its influence over natural resources and sea trade routes in the region. Meanwhile, China uses an economic approach to strengthen its influence in Greenland and the Arctic region as a whole. For Greenland, this dynamic creates great opportunities and great challenges. On the one hand, there is investment and infrastructure development. On the other hand, this geopolitical pressure can threaten the political and economic stability in Greenland, especially if the island has to choose sides in a global conflict. Meanwhile, Denmark, as the country that officially controls Greenland, has an important role in maintaining stability in this region. But the increasing global attention to Greenland has put Denmark in the midst of a geopolitical competition, forcing the country to take a firm stance on various issues involving Greenland. Denmark has controlled Greenland for over a century, but the relationship between the two regions has undergone significant changes in recent decades. With greater autonomy, Greenland now has the right to manage most of its own affairs, including the management of natural resources. However, Denmark remains responsible for foreign policy and defense of Greenland. So, when Donald Trump proposed buying Greenland, Denmark firmly rejected the idea. The Danish Prime Minister's statement even called Trump's idea absurd, reflecting Denmark's attitude that it does not want to hand over this strategic territory to another country. However, the rejection also highlights the challenges faced by Denmark in maintaining its influence in the Greenland region, especially in the midst of increasing pressure from the United States and China. In addition, the European Union also has interests in Greenland and the Arctic region in general. As part of the Danish kingdom, Greenland has a special relationship with the European Union, although it is not a full member of the bloc. Greenland is one of the important partners of the European Union in terms of supply of natural resources, especially rare earth metals. Therefore, to protect its interests in Greenland, the European Union has introduced various mechanisms, including the Anti-Coercion Instrument or ACI. This mechanism is designed to counter economic pressure from large countries like the United States and China that seek to exploit their influence in Greenland. For example, if the United States tries to impose import tariffs on Denmark or Greenland, the European Union can take retaliatory action through the ACI, such as limiting American access to the European market.